Good evening, everyone. I'm Nandita. Chemexcil, in collaboration with REACHLaw India, is organizing a webinar on understanding EU REACH, securing registration for successful market access. About Chemexcil, Basic Chemicals, Cosmetics and Dyes Export Promotion Council, popularly known as Chemexcil, is set up by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, in the year 1963, with the object of promoting exports of the following items from India to various countries abroad. These items have been grouped into four separate panels, that is dyes and dye intermediaries, basic inorganic and organic chemicals, including agrochemicals, cosmetics, soaps, toiletries, and essential oils, specialty chemicals, lubricants, and castor oil. The main role of Chemexcil is to be an interface with the industry and the Government of India to formulate export-oriented policies and also to create a favorable environment to augment exports of the above items from India. Today's webinar focuses on identifying substances in your portfolio subject to REACH, determine your registration obligations, appoint a qualified only representative if you lack an EU legal entity, prepare and submit complaint registration dossiers, maintain up-to-date dossiers, and fulfill post-registration requirements. Now I'm excited to introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Gagan Kumar, Managing Director, REACHLaw India Private Limited. Mr. Gagan is seasoned profession with over 20 years of experience in the chemical and product regulatory compliance. Currently, he is serving as a managing director of REACHLaw. Gagan excels in leading sales efforts, enhancing operational efficiency, managing risks, foster stakeholders relationship, and ensuring compliance with international chemicals and product relations. In addition to his role at REACHLaw, Gagan served as a technical consultant for Chemexcil, a government appointed. In this capacity, he advises on trade and chemicals, GH regulations in the EU, Turkey, Korea, the UK and India, leveraging his deep industrial knowledge and REACH expertise. Gagan holds a degree in chemical engineering from the prestigious IIT New Delhi. He also possesses a certificate in advanced program in supply chain management and a diploma in corporate governance from the Corporate Governance Institute, Ireland. Thank you, sir, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chemexcil. I think you have done the comprehensive introduction. So I welcome all the participants. I think we are still, many people are still joining, but apologies that we started a few minutes late. But thank you for joining this session. I'm glad that I could share our experiences and keeping it very basic. And we have some team members here joining this webinar. They are also panelists. So I suggest that if you have any questions, please use the chat window and send your questions to us. We have received some questions at the time of registration, so we will provide answers to you via chat so that all participants can see the answers and the question. So our team will post questions and answers in the chat window. And during the webinar, I recommend that you send your questions via chat to us, and we will take up questions and I'll provide answers at the end of the webinar. So this is approximately 60 minutes webinar, but I may exceed the time depending upon the content that we have to share with you. The presentation, we have certain contents which is a copyright of REACHLaw, so we respect that how we do the exchange of this information. But yes, I once again thank you, Chemexcil, for giving this platform. And let's proceed for today's webinar. And I hope that I'm audible to the audience, if anybody can confirm. Any of the panelists, if confirm that, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So yes, introduction was already provided. So I'll skip and I'll come to the content. I will introduce REACHLaw in brief. I think most of the companies already know us, but just very briefly and what's happening at REACHLaw. I will introduce our company and then I will start with basics. So the objective of this webinar is that if you are a chemical company in India or let's say outside Europe, and and you would like to do something without contacting consultant at the first place, what are the things that you could do on your own? So we would like to give you the practical advice so that you as a chemical company have some knowledge and can utilize your expertise and people to gather information about this regulation and understand what it means and how it works. And so I'm keeping it very basics, but I hope that from the experience that we hold and the companies that we represent, we would try to cover the the common questions that an Indian company is always looking for when they are looking for each registration. So this is from that perspective, we have created this content, and we are happy to have one-on-one sessions if anybody is interested in understanding taking this as a service. So you reach basics, then you will start with understanding your product portfolio, that what you want to sell to Europe, how you determine this. And once you have done, so we usually call it like your own inventory of chemical that you want to send to Europe, and how you determine that. Once you have done this step, then you understand what are your obligation and how you achieve these compliances. So only representative is something that is a very common term now, but I would like to explain that what it means for you as an Indian company, and then reach registration step by step. So basically, what you need to start in practice, what are the steps that you should follow to achieve a full compliance, and then once you have registration, what are the compliances and activities that you should do as a company. So all the information that I'm sharing is that as a chemical company, how you achieve the compliance, you definitely would need a consultant, but your role is very important besides consultant to have a compliance, full compliance, and have a responsible company so that you can demonstrate this compliance uh, as a company to your customers in Europe, because customers don't interact with consultants, customers interacts with you. So you need to have basic education on how what is reach. So this is the idea of creating this and uh, and Chemexcil is already doing great work in supporting companies here. So I always wish them this effort that they do for Indian companies. So let's proceed, and very quickly I will introduce our company. So we are a Finland-based organization. Our head office is in Helsinki, Finland. We started our operations way back in 2006, and now we are present in 7 countries and 8 cities. So on your right-hand side, you will see where we are present. So we are present as REACHLaw. We work as so parent company is in Finland and Helsinki, and then we have our own subsidiaries in these 7 countries. I'm basically based out of New Delhi, and we also have office in Mumbai. So and other countries, we also have subsidiaries in South Korea, so REACHLaw Korea, and then in UK as REACHLaw UK Limited. We also have set up in Brussels, and in Turkey we also have REACHLaw Turkey, and that is the reason that we are providing professional services in REACH and REACH-like regulations, and now it is extending to product regulations and also leading to some sustainability that affecting these industries when chemicals are coming in business. And so we, as REACHLaw, we work in-house. We have experts, more than 50 plus professionals, and a mix of business, legal, technical, toxicologist, and chemist, and all kind of expertise that you need to have a reach full compliance. And and then we work with partners because we cannot present in each country, and because that is something we offer for the customers. If they export to other countries, so they could only contact us for the achieving compliance. So more information, you can follow our website. We are developing our information page, so you will get more and more information from REACHLaw. But please visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter so you get more information about our products and services, and of course regulatory news. So this is some of our statistics. We have a sizable customer base, and more than 1,000 companies we've been working, and that are coming from 60 plus countries. So we are really a global organization in terms of handling customer segments and products. And some of the statistics, just to highlight that how much expertise are available with us. And in India, since it's most of the participants are coming from India, we are present since 2008. So this is something based on what we are doing, and demonstrates our work experience. So we are leading this segment worldwide, and wherever REACH or REACH-like regulations are present, REACHLaw will offer these services, as it remains a core area where we do a lot of learning in this kind of domain, and so that we can offer high-end and professional services to our customers. And REACHLaw also has a YouTube channel. We whatever topics that we have and the experts we have, we are also creating a content free of charge, so you can always follow our talks and webinars. These are uploaded on our YouTube channel. In fact, we have more than now 100 videos, so you can always subscribe to this channel if you like, and you will get information whenever new content is uploaded. So we have all kind of podcasts and short videos and webinars, be it Indian chemical regulations, or Europe or UK, and many other regulations. So please go and follow this, and if you like, then we would be happy to assist you further. So this is an overview of our services. We, of course, leads chemical regulatory compliance. As I said, all the countries, the topic for today is EU REACH. And if you understand EU REACH, it's very easy for you to understand how you achieve compliance for UK, for Turkey, for Ukraine, or for Korea. Because the framework of achieving compliance in these countries remains same. The costings, how you determine the cost, how you start your working, how you identify your consultants, how you approach the consultant, and you could at least verify the content coming from consultant, how you can really negotiate. So those kind of information will happen when you know the basics of REACH, how it works, and what are the processes and data requirements, so that it's easy for you to handle the compliances as a company. So for me, it's important that every chemical company in India at least have basic knowledge on and use REACH as a basis. So you never know when REACH like regulation will come to India. It will have significant impact on your compliances. The chemicals that you produce today would need similar compliances in future. So if you know these regulations, if you know how these are working, it will be very useful for you and for your employees to gain and have some kind of expertise in this segment. So chemical compliances remain our core services. Then we have product compliances, which is coming from product leading to different uses, and it's a very wide scope. Chemical, of course, leads to chemical industry, but product leads to any kind of industry. So we are also into product compliances. And in India, we have been doing this BIS certification. So as you know that you need to also comply with that if you manufacture certain chemicals or products that are on the mandatory certification list. So these services and advocacies also that we lead this segment, we have high level expertise, and so we can of course offer the consultancy and advocacy if it involves authorities handling and decision making process. Then sustainability is also something that we do offer to companies who are of course interested in understanding more on how they can achieve this compliances and sustainability. I think investors these days are looking for how sustainable you are, and they derive this information through some certificates and reportings. So something for you, we would like to utilize our office presence in Mumbai, and which is at Vikhroli. So we are looking to have one-on-one interaction, which is what you're getting today. You will have a more practical experience. We are inviting companies to come with their PCs, and we could give kind of education. It's a workshop, so it's not a webinar or seminar. It's a workshop. So if you are interested, you can always contact us and register yourself. There are certain discounts till end of this month, and a limited seat workshop. So we are not looking at big group, but yes, if you are interested in understanding EU, UK, and India BIS certification, I would recommend that you register as soon as possible because we have limited seats. So this is something that we continue to do, and we would like to do more product specific workshops so that it helps companies to gain more access in these markets and become more aware and get more knowledge on their products, how they achieve the compliance. So this is a disclaimer and copyright. I've been asked by my lawyers to run this, but this is more on that all the content that we have, we don't make any representation. So we also will not accept any liability on the content that is here. But if you would like to utilize this information, please obtain official permission from REACHLaw at this email address. Then EU Reach. Let's talk about EU Reach. I believe there are many questions that also we received. So I would say that EU Reach is something which is uh, coming from a basis that this is of course stands for registration. R stands for registration, which means that any chemical that you want to sell to Europe. So if you are Indian chemical company and you are exporting to Europe, the reach uh, kind of information you will get either from your customers or you are doing proactive work, then you will know this information that you need to comply with this in order to sell and do business with Europe. It's these days kind of prerequisite that if you want to do business with Europe, then you need to discuss reach. Understand this. So R means registration, which is that you need to submit some information, and it will of course invite certain cost. We will look at the cost later on, but it's more on that registration means that of course some information is required by the authorities, and you need to get certain certification, which is registration, and it will involve cost and it will have certain timeline. So this is basic thing, and it's a product based registration. Each product would require registration if it has a different identity. Then once you have registered, it will also be looking that authorities will evaluate those registrations, meaning they will check what has been submitted by you or the whatever registrations are available, and they will then try to correct these registrations because nobody is it pure, and authorities has this provision that to check your registrations, and if these are not correct, they will issue decisions and would like them to make it correct because there is certain objective of reach in Europe, and they would like to achieve this through evaluation. And then we have authorization and restriction. So eventual aim is that any harmful chemicals or hazardous chemicals which we cannot control through certain operational means or administrative means, then these needs to be restricted, meaning that the use will be restricted so that the harmful use or the quantities are no longer available in Europe, or it will be authorized that you have a blanket ban on these chemicals unless you have an authorization for use. And this is more leading to more research on the chemicals, so more substitution will happen in future. Hazardous chemicals will go and new alternatives will come, and this is how reach would work, that more research will happen and if chemicals will be banned from Europe. So this is something. What is REACH? I would say that it invites high level protection of health, human health and environment, and around 26,000, now it's 23,000, but yeah, more registrations are already happening. So 23,000 unique substances are registered, and any chemical that you are planning to register probably are already registered. We will see more how it looks like. Then it's ensure chemical safety in Europe because it's a European regulation. It will support innovation, like I mentioned, research is happening already, and competitiveness of European chemical industry. So this is important objective what REACH has, and then it always promote non-animal test methods, which is also kind of research topic in Europe and other, that how we replace a test which invites animals to replace it with non-animal test methods, whether it's computational or statistical or something. This is also kind of new development which is happening. And then it will give you access to 30 countries. It's a union registration, so you will get access for one registration for your product in 30 countries. The scope is, I would say, any chemical which is formed through a chemical reaction would, as a thumb rule, you can say that this is in your scope. And if you're manufacturing this in India, or you are making some kind of, let's say, mixtures out of this substance, a chemical substance, maybe a paint or a lubricant or a fragrance, then you need to basically, you have a scope and you need to do something on REACH. So it's chemical substances, reaction based chemical substances, and then it's if you sell in Europe calendar year more than 1 ton, 1,000 kilos kg, 1,000 not tons, 1,000, 1 ton a year or 1,000 kgs a year, then you need to do REACH compliance. So we will see how will you will achieve the compliance, but this is the basic. So chemicals and then 1 ton a year. And then there are common exemptions, meaning that in regulations you also have exemptions, and exemptions are driven by REACH Article 2. I'm not going to the details of the legal text, but the common exemptions that we have seen coming from India or elsewhere is through Annex 4. Annexures are some kind of, again, a regulatory text in the REACH regulation which defines your chemicals. So it's listed with CAS number. If you're a chemical company, then you know the CAS number, and the CAS number you can check whether your chemical is exempted. So this list is fixed list. We have not seen this list updated, so it's a fixed list having some 20 or 30 substances only, and you can check whether it's exempted or not. Then there is a criteria based exemption, so which is more of I would say judgment driven work based on certain evidence and proof, and you will, of course, need a consultant if you're not read these guidances. And sometimes it's a very old exemption case, meaning that companies are already availing this. So there are many consortiums, many European bodies, associations, like we have ICC, Chemexcil, then we have a lot of product specific associations in Europe. They also have these white paper which demonstrate the exemptions. So you can always refer those and relate to your manufacturing process, raw material classifications. So those you need to take into element. But natural is very common term, but sometimes natural is not exempted. So I would say that you require careful consideration before you issue any exemption statement, because your customers will be affected on these declarations directly when they import your chemicals into Europe. But if your use is food and feed, then those quantities that are going into food and feed are exempted, and any other quantity which is for industrial use will not be exempted. So this is also you need to consider. Re-imported scenario is that if you, let's say, buy a chemical from Europe and it is manufactured in Europe, and you're using this chemical in your formulation here, or you are making a polymer which is using a monomer which is you are importing from Europe, then you don't need to register that chemical or monomer because it is already registered in Europe, and you are reintroducing this substance through formulation back in Europe. So re-imported scenario also needs to be checked, and then it is exempted. Polymers as such are exempted, but then monomers are not exempted. And if you are a polymer manufacturer in India, you need to, besides your REACH registration supplier, if you're using, you also need a coverage because your manufacturing polymer is not in Europe. So sometimes I visit many companies and they say that we just use a REACH registered monomer and we don't do anything. Then it's not the full compliance that you achieve here because you are not manufacturing polymer in Europe. So there are a lot of areas that you need to consider and to meet a full compliance. Then these are the authorities. So European Chemical Agency is based in Finland, and we are also located in Finland. So this agency is the authority which is implementing REACH and CLP regulation. So they are not making any enforcement. So of course, enforcement is very important when you are working in regulations. And without enforcement, it's like no brain. So this is also kind of member state. So there are 30 countries: Germany, France, Italy, Spain, so on. So each country will have their own environment agency, which will do the enforcement under REACH. So this is also important that how the enforcement means they will issue fines and penalties, and they may do something else to correct this situation based on how severe it is. So this is also to understand that who is doing the enforcement. The year of 2025 and 2026 are enforcement years for many registrations which are happening through the non-EU companies. So we will cover this in the conclusion. And then understanding your portfolio. So this is, I think, the important step. And I would say that you should first of all look at creating a REACH inventory for your own substance and how you do that. So let's see that you have to understand what is your role in the supply chain. When I say supply chain, you may be a EU manufacturer, or you could be a formulator here in India. And if you're a manufacturer, means you are not, you cannot register directly under REACH because it's a European regulation. You can only register if you have office in Europe in any of these 30 countries, or you have to appoint somebody in Europe, which is a European based company, to register. We will see this provision next. But you as a non-EU manufacturer, or you are a formulator, so if you do not have any office in Europe, you definitely need some consultant or this EU company to register. And my recommendation is to always go for consultant. Sometimes your EU importer or you have a good friend in Europe, they would like to say, okay, I import also, and I can also become an only representative. And many companies, because you're not aware of what will happen next, you decided, okay, you can register as only representative. So try to keep regulatory compliance separate from the business decisions. So when you appoint an OR, they should not have any import or a trading business, because in trading you basically discuss your pricing and everything. And when you are also an only representative, then these things are a kind of conflict of interest. So our recommendation is always maintain a professional or a consultant, and you can then continue your business with your with your company or the importer that you have. So they can register for you, but it's something that how you make this decision is also very important. So this is your role in the supply chain is that you will be a non-EU manufacturer, and then you have to see how you register. The option you have is, of course, that you have a customer in Europe. Either they register that chemical if it is more than 1 ton, or you register using a EU-based only representative. In both the scenarios, the cost is same. It's not that if your customer is registering, it will be cheap. So the cost will remain same, the time will remain same, all the data requirements will remain same, but it is something that how you make a business decision on a longer term success basis. So this is something on a business decision based on whatever relationship you have existing, because let's say a German based trader may not be able to give you a full market access. So that's why it's something you need to consider. That's why would like to emphasize the conflict of interest, and so it's important, and we can of course guide and help you here. Then understanding your substance, what you export to Europe. So you have to see what is that you export to Europe. So starting point is of course your safety data sheet, and you know your product better. So you have to understand with consultant that what is my product. So these chemicals in REACH, you only register chemical substances, and but you could be manufacturing substances. Let's say you are an ethanol or a methanol producer, or you could be a formulator, let's say polymer, I would say mixture, I would come to later, but you could be a lubricant, you could be a grease manufacturer, you could be a fragrance manufacturer. Then you don't register these mixtures, you don't register a fragrance or a master batch, it is also a mixture, or a ink or a coating. You don't register the mixtures under REACH. You only register substances which are used to make a mixture, like in a formulation. And mixture means that none of the substances reacting to each other. They stays as is. There is no chemical reaction happening. That's why the mixture definition is very clear. Hello. I was getting news that my voice was not getting audible. So can you check if it is somebody from the panelists? Can you confirm that am I audible?
You're audible,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. So this is the way of handling this. I think substance or mixture is very important. And then articles, if you produce, let's say, some kind of bottles, or it could be some article which is let's say, then these are not covered under REACH. So the scope is very limited. You don't have to probably register an article, but substance and mixture is something you need to consider, and you have to plan your roadmap accordingly. If it is a mixture, so you have to break down the mixture into substances. We can guide you there. I will not go into that how you do that in this session, but yeah, this you have to break down each mixture. You have to identify two substance, or even if you have a polymer, then you have to see what are the monomers. And your substances have these terms like mono substance, mono constituent substance, multi constituent, and REACH is like having these terms very common. And we will see in some registrations how it means. And we have questions also which should be also answered by our panelist. So what is UVCV and what is mono constituent, and how you determine that as subset or a set will be answered in the chat. So this is very important that you know your substance, and then you check your tonnage, how much you export to Europe in a calendar year basis. So you always consider your substance or a mixture, but if you export a mixture or a polymer, then you have to calculate what is that you are exporting substance, because it's always substance registration, and you have to go and break that into a substance level quantity. So tonnage calculation is also important step, and you need to get data from your export, from your SAP systems in 30 countries, how much we are exporting and how much we will export. So some kind of forecast is also important to determine what would be your quantity for registration. And if it is more, then you need to register. Then important step is check your existing registration. So this is an ECA-Chem. We will see demo next, but this is where our workshop is more, let's say, focusing is to help companies to do this in practice, and you will get more case studies and practical advice here. But this is how to check your registrations and what benefits you will get through this. So ECA-Chem demo means you will know what are your chemicals that you register. Is identification is very important. What is the EC number? And Europe registrations recognize EC number over CAS number. Then what are the hazard classifications that you use on a safety data sheet? And this is also you will check what type of registrations, how many companies have registered. And some question was that how I see my buyers. So you can always contact the EU importers there. Let's say there are registrations, so only 3 companies can register. It is either it is EU manufacturer, EU importer. EU importers are your potential customers. Or third type of companies are basically only representative, which are an EU based company. But for an only representative, it is always a registration of a non-EU manufacturer. It could be a Chinese manufacturer, it could be Indian, it could be US, it could be Korean, it could be Japanese. So any manufactured outside Europe, you will see only representative name there, because registration comes in their name, not non-EU manufacturer name. They are a European entity and you are using them for registration. If you use your subsidiary, if you're an office, then your name, your subsidiary name will come. But this is important. How many companies have registered? What are the uses that has been registered? And when was the original registration made? It is also very important information these days. And GSU stands for Guidance on Safe Use. So it is useful information to check your safety data sheets. And this is something which you are getting free of cost. So don't use it for gaining any benefit, but use it only to determine safe use or for your chemicals. You can of course update your safety data sheets, because safety data sheets are free of cost document. You don't use this to sell or gain money from your customer. It's a safety document which you have to accompany with your chemical. So you can of course update that, but don't use any information and earn money so that it doesn't have an economic benefit. This is the simple disclaimer that is there. So registration type, full and intermediate, these are two types of registration. One is expensive, one is very nominal. So, but how you check what registration applies to you is something this information ECHA-Chem will of course can guide, and you can of course check it through the consultant. Then original date of registration, as I was mentioning, is also important. Then to obtain REACH registration, you need to, of course, contact some consultant. And then once you have all this information, you pass on this information to them, like registered substance identity from ECHA-Chem, your quantity band, type of registration, and your size of the company. We will see it later. All this information will help consultant to build your quote, and then you can discuss with them further. So next is the navigation. So I would like to show you that this is the page chem.echa.europa.eu. If you do that, you will land to this page. You have accepted this legal notice that I was mentioning earlier. You can read this legal notice if you want as a company, but it's that what you cannot do from this website and information that you are collecting. So search database, then you have either can type your chemical case number if you have. Chemical name I won't suggest because sometimes it is quite big and you will miss the entry. So 23,000 chemicals database is there and you have to use it through search. You can use the search and then you will land to this page. Let's say we have search formaldehyde, it's used by chemical name. And you can see the chemical name of formaldehyde. You can always see the case number, which is 50000. And then EC number is important. So you always look for the EC number, and then there are other products which are using formaldehyde, and therefore it is important how you check that. So next is you basically click that, meaning that you have found a registration. So this is the registration page. It shows that how many registrations are there, 309, 300 registrations for formaldehyde. And then classification and labeling according to CLP. What is your label? It is information on signal and is coming. So it is very important information for anybody, for any chemical that you use, and you can always correct your safety data sheet based on this. Then the companies, the registrants, how many registrants, and you can see the names are there. So these are usually European manufacturer name and European importer's name, or an only representative like this. And sometimes only representative can highlight name of non-EU manufacturer also. The status is active or inactive. So inactive, they have either ceased or they are not manufacturing any longer. And active is those. You can also export this as an Excel if you want to use through your marketing and sales meeting. Then the important is that for active, you have to go to the dossier and you will see that who is the lead, which you see the icon in the dark is the lead, which is the main registrant, and you have to see the original date of registration. So if it is 2010, then it's a very old registration. It could be, let's say, less expensive than registrations from 2018 onwards. So this is important to see that when was the original registration. And then you can see the other side of dossiers. It's all public. So you will see what is the mono constituent. I was saying mono, multi. You can see this. And then uses, there are 15 uses. You can always see what are the uses and for which you need to have the exposures assessment in your safety data sheets. So this is UVCV case where you can see another example. This is the chemical name and EC number. So you can always see this as a sample. Then the full registration was the one which we saw for formaldehyde. This is an intermediate, which is Article 18, and full registrations are Article 10 under REACH regulation. So here also you can see this is an intermediate and all of them, and you register as a member registrant through only representative. So one company is always a lead company because it's a joint registration, and other companies join the lead company to achieve their registration. So you pay them some money. We will see that later on. But this is how you decide on your intermediate registration, which is very economical. I think you can register between 3 to 5 lakhs Indian rupees if you are this kind of chemicals and use in Europe. Then determining your registration obligations, I have covered some, but role in the supply chain, which we saw, whether it's you are a EU manufacturer or non-EU manufacturer, or you are a non-EU importer. So non-EU importers, let's say any distributor or a trader or a merchant exporter in India, they cannot register directly. You need to be a manufacturer. So REACH registration certificate only can be availed by a manufacturer, not a trader or a merchant exporter. Then non-EU formulator can also register. Or let's say you are buying a chemical from a manufacturer and you do some purification, then also you can register because you're doing some value addition which enhances the product quality and you get better money out of it. So you do some value creation even though the chemical composition remains same, but you can still register because you have certain capabilities and assets which you use to enhance this quality. And then for all of this non-EU manufacture, non-EU formulators, you need to register using an EU-based OR. We will see this next. Registrations at ECHA, Chem, we saw demo. So this is important for you to check. And this is how you decide on your obligation. You can register using an EU importer, and you can also register using an OR. We will see the benefits of it later on. But company size is something we will see in the cost part, whether you could be a micro. Let's say you have a SUGAM certificate. So it's an Indian MSME Act, but in Europe, you have to follow European SME Act. And this is how you do this company size because it impacts your one of the fee component for registration. Type of registration, whether it's full or intermediates. So only two types of registrations are there. And in the full registrations, you register using 4 tonnage bands. It starts from 1 to 10 tons. Then you have 10 to 100, 100 to 1000, and 1000 plus. So there are 4 tonnage bands that you can register. These are calendar year tonnage bands. And you can also register as intermediate. And if you're an Indian manufacturer, then you will register as transported isolated intermediate. And there are only 2 tonnage bands, less than 1000 tons and more than 1000 tons. So this is how your quantity bands are decided in both the registration types. Intermediate registrations are typically always conditional, and your customers are always involved in these registrations, and they need to demonstrate that the chemicals that they buy from you are used in under strictly controlled conditions. These are very controlled operation conditions which allows no exposure of chemicals for that use in Europe. So this is something that they declare, and then you can avail this registration. And any new customer again needs to sign such declarations. There are certain other parameters that they need to maintain, but we can always guide it here. So it's again a very economical, as I mentioned, over full registration. But limited probably access of market, full access to the market. And use is also important. What use you have, sometimes you are confused that what is my use, And this is where I think use information at ECHA-Chem is very useful. So all this information, what is there is you can find it and at information page. Then benefits of REACH registration by you as a non-EU manufacturer. So you of course get a full market access, and meaning 30 countries you can access, and you can no longer, if you want to have it, your own registration, so you no longer want to depend upon EU importer registration, because you want to have a direct control on compliance. You customer anywhere can contact you through your website, or if you attend any expos, and you have a product price decision which you want to have at your end, because if importer uses, then they may buy from you or from others, when they will dictate the pricing. And then OR registrations, basically it's always that you can transfer your registrations, and if you want to utilize it, but this is something that most important is that the direct control and the price decisions. And customers trust is more that if you have an only representative based registration, so you have your own registration as manufacturer, it is of course more of your brand visibility, and your customers prefer these registrations. Okay, so that is how they are asking you that whether you have registrations, and this is something you should consider. And you should update your website if you have these kind of registration with some basic FAQ, and that should demonstrate your compliance. It's a first, I think it's a first contact that customer makes with you after visiting your website. So it's always important to demonstrate compliance using your website. We can always guide how it can be done, but this is something you should do. REACH registrations are assets in the balance sheets. Okay, then only representative role, I would say that this is more text, but only representative takes care of all the REACH obligations, meaning that your customers in Europe release, they don't have to do any, they are not legally responsible for maintenance and compliance. All risk comes to only representative, but then it's only available for non-EU manufacturer, and your importer then releases from this obligation. So this is what it says. And there is an Article 8 of REACH regulation which defines only representative, let's say, criteria and what they need to do in order to maintain the compliance. So it's a very simple article, but it gains lot of information which we will cover next. And it's also, I think, recommended by European Chemical Agency and how it has to be done. So this is the who can appoint an only representative is that only non-EU company, which is you are engaging your chemicals and they are exporting, you are exporting to them. So either you are a manufacturer or a formulator, you can appoint an only representative. Also, I covered it earlier. And these are some of the, I would say, basis that we, of course, this are coming from certain best practices. But if you want to select only representative, which is kind of important entity for you to have a gateway for Europe and also guide you suitably, is to have an EU-based legal entity which is established in Europe, permanent address according to this requirement, and they have a good regulatory expertise, sufficient background of handling the substances. They have good control what is required, and they read and they understand the subject quite well, and they continuously improve themselves. So it's not that once it is done then they're not doing anything. It's important that they continuously are in market and invisible, and they understand their subject well. Reliable track record, and it's something that it's an ORO is only representative organization, and they issues best practice guidelines. REACHLaw is member of this ORO, and they maintain internal compliance records. So what is required for an OR to come and become their member is something they do, and we have to demonstrate annual compliances to maintain our membership with them, and to how we manage, because it's a lot of work they do also with authorities. So I think trained personnel's IT legal ability to compliance and other things that is very much required. Most is your knowledge and how you get updated and how you control the risks for your customers, and maintain a full compliance as REACH is demanding by the industry. Then data security and systems, maintaining confidentiality information, how accurately, what kind of IT tools you have to track your information. It's very important, it should be secure, and it should be a proper ERP process that follows for volume collection and information on your customers. And then they are transparent. They are transparent in communications, in handling your compliances documents, and contractual agreement is also fair and transparent, so that you don't have issues if something goes wrong with your consultant. So this is something which comes from a professional and a reliable consultant, and consider this recommendations also part of this is covered in ECA Q&A, and I would suggest that you can follow this Oro best practice page to understand more. Then this is something, an example of importer versus OR. So I would say that if you, let's say you are a non-EU manufacturer or a formulator, you have a substance AB, then there is another company B, which is also in India, manufactures another substance, which is formulator B. So they are having exports of substance AB in, let's say, Germany, in France, in Spain, and they have, let's say the importer has registered. So what I'm trying to mention is that for importer, if you don't have decide not to register, then importer then the importer registration is mandatory. So all the importers have to register 3 times. So the cost and time goes 3 times. So if you want to sell to them, they all need to register this REACH substance AB to import from you. And this is something which is important for you to understand, that this importer registration somewhere that they can buy from any other company B if they have registered this substance. So you may not know that the orders is going to another which they have identified. So they are registering because they have their own interest to get this substance from multiple suppliers across world. And the other option is that you register using an only representative, and which is, let's say, this company here, and only representative again in Europe. And if they register, it's one registration, and all these importers are covered in single registration. So it's also cost effective, and you get full market access, and they don't need to register now. They will become downstream user. And this is how Reach is working. Okay, so then I would say Reach registration step by step. Uh, for me, it's important that you first start your, let's say you have to contact a service provider. So you look for websites, you will look for another information, or you get references from your companies. So selection of OR is important, and for that you have to have these information that I mentioned from ECA Chem, that company details, whether you're a manufacturer, formulator, then what is your size and what are your substance information, like name, your quantity, your EC uses. So this will help them to determine the, and then you officially can request the request for proposals, which includes a, I would say, simple cost of registration with a breakup. So each substance, like each chemical you want to register, you have to get the cost breakup for these and what it covers, what kind of processes, and then you can always have the data requirements part of it. And this is the 3 cost elements. So ECA fee, authority fee should be there, letter of access fee should be there. We will see it, but this is the basis, and what it includes and what it excludes, whether it's a full registration and 12 years rule data. So 12 years rule data, I would like to say that for the registrations made originally in 2010 and 2013, those chemicals will have this rule in force, and which says that if the chemical studies were submitted 12 years ago, they are free of cost. So the letter of access cannot have that study value as part of the calculation. It will not be, it will be zero. So there will be only studies which are conducted after 12 years. So this will give more, I would say, benefit for you. And then whether your chemical safety report, if your chemical, let's say, is hazardous and you are registering more than 10 tons, then chemical safety report is mandatory document. So you need to check from your consultant and this letter of exit whether this is complete, or there is some update that is required from your side or from the consult. Then it will be additional cost. So, and this is a kind of trend because of certain changes that I would recommend that you check this information. And last is that any additional cost that may come in future. Let's say you are paying letter of access fee 40,000 euros, which is 40 lakhs approximately. Whether it will be same or whether you have to pay more in future, is this is coming from the evaluation process of reach, checking of the dossier. If there are more studies requested in future, then everybody have to share the cost. So sometimes you see that the costs are even more what you paid originally. So that's why it's important to budget and do the business decision based on the future cost. And so this is what we recommend. And OR fee, of course, it's a fixed or annual, whatever is there, you have to check that also. Then get the code comparisons, understand some meeting, how they are understanding the subject, how transparent is the court, and decide on the decision on the proposal. At the same time, you will also select the OR. My recommendation is also to check the agreement before you decide on any OR, and check whether agreement is fair and is also like allows you to change in future. And this is something important. Companies here don't see the agreements, even smaller companies, and I would recommend them to please see the contracts, read them before making any signatures. But then it's a kickoff meeting is important to understand the information process, timeline, and cost. So you align your process, you know what you are going to give at the time of registration, and post registration what are your obligations and how the cost will be coming to you, so you can budget. And so involve your quality people, finance people, and if you have any regulatory team or person that could come in this kickoff meeting. Then co-registration process will start. They will do most of the work. Your consultant will do all kind of work, and they will start with your account creation with authority. Here you can display your name at the authority page, so your name can come here if you allow them to use it. So your name will also come to ECA dissemination page. Buyers will contact you, and I have few slides, but now we have 5 p.m. So please bear with me, and I'm sure that you'll get more information if you stay. So then you have inquiry, which is a kind of dossier. It's something which establish your substance sameness, the one which is registered by the lead company we saw at the ECA-Chem. And this uses certain testing, which is basic test. So at this stage, you also require certain testing. You can use your own laboratory or you can use external laboratory. And this is the dossier which you should check whether before submission is it correct or not. And this is submitted by your OR using this account to the authority. All the dossiers, everything is digital. It's prepared using Euclid software. Then at the same time, if you're an SME, you ensure that the SME size is verified by the consultant, as it may invite penalties in future. So you do this correct at the first step. Then understanding of the reach registration cost after you have successfully submitted the inquiry. Then understand the cost, because after inquiry, the authority will connect you with the main registrant and they will inform you all the information. Again, check this letter of access, what it includes, whether it has a 12-year rule applicable. If they don't, and you see that it's a 12-year rule, you negotiate through consultant this part. Okay, so this is something important. Check additional cost at this stage. Before agreeing on any data sharing agreement, that is important step for LOA purchase, please do the cost confirmation once again, so that you have the right budget which was presented in this proposal to you earlier. Then letter of access purchase, meaning data sharing agreement, will be signed between the OR and the lead registrant. And you are not signing anything. That's why it is important that you have to respect them, that because they sign on this behalf. Without this, registration cannot proceed. So this is where you commit the future cost or the refunds through this data sharing agreement. You can always see what it covers and how it is signed by the only representative or consultant. There are certain sanction declarations which are coming from the Europe with the Ukraine situation and Russia and Ukraine, sorry. So there is a EU sanctions, and you need to understand how this is working before or at the same time. Your consultant will also invite you to sign these declarations. Then chemical safety report, sometimes you require an update. It's not that 100% your letter of access will cover this document. And if it requires an update, this is 3 months or 5 months is because of this timeline, and then it also leads to the additional cost. Once it is done, you are ready for your co-registration. Again, here is the dossier, so you will check your uses here. The uses are same as chemical safety report uses. If it's an hazardous, you have the same exposure scenarios, because this document you use to update your safety data sheets or MSDS. After that, your registration will be submitted. You will get a number after submission and payment of certain authority fees. Once it is done, you can continue with your MA claim, which is offered by Chemexcil for certain. It's again, I would recommend to contact them directly, because there is a provision or criteria that not all companies are eligible. And then I would recommend you to update your safety data sheet or extended safety data sheet using chemical safety report. It's again an important before you complete everything. And then the last step is to have an annual registration maintenance. Annual is that you need to be proactive in what is happening. Of course, your only represent consultant will provide you all this information, but sometimes you can check online. That's why I was having to do these workshops. So companies knows basis in India that how to manage, and if they have reached registration, how you manage those registrations. So risk management is an important, I would say, skill for any regulatory person to gain, and something this is coming from the regulations. So dossier update is coming through Article 22 of REACH. You should ensure that your dossiers are updated. 3 months to 9 months is the deadline. So you need to know how this is applicable to you and your registrations. Then risk management is that you should have certain budget. Let's say January, if you want to show your demonstrate your budget to your finance or management, that have a risk management based on the budgeting, that is kind of report if you're getting from your consultant or some budgeting, so that additional cost, any updates coming from these are budgeted. So you have a budget which is clear. There is no ad hoc cost that is coming and you face difficulties in clearing this cost from the company. Annual record keeping also at your end. Are you getting some access from the consultant on the documents, that so that you don't ask them each and every time by email? People keep changing, so you should have a record in the company which is shared by your consultant, that annual record keeping, and all these informations are uploaded and you get access to those documents, which you can use through your customer communications or anything, and internal training purposes also. So maintenance of this Tandon certification, if you have issued, and then the big fish which is there also coming is the REACH 2, which is a REACH revision, and it will take a couple of years, but then this is something you should also monitor, because it may impact your existing registrations. Okay, then I would say that I have a cost part, which is for you. Everybody is interested to know the cost. So the cost has three elements. The first, which is the biggest, I would say three elements, but it has a fourth element is the testing. But I would say this is very basic testing, which you should do for your chemical, because it may be used if in future some REACH like regulation is coming in India. It will be very useful for you to utilize those study then. So it's recommended. Okay, and it's not also very expensive. So so besides that, basic cost elements are three. Letter of access is the major cost. Then you have authority fee, which is European Chemical Agency fees. And then OR is the only representative, your consultant charges. For each chemical, these are the cost elements. Okay. Let's start with ECHA fees. ECHA fees is a fixed fee and depends upon your company size and tonnage band. Let's say you are registering as a small company. We will see the criteria in the next slide, and you are registering 10 to 100 tonnage band and you have a container load, so it's 10 to 100, then your authority fee is 1227 euros. If you're a large company, then you are paying 3506 euros. And if you want to upgrade your registration from this band to next band, you pay difference of the fees. Okay, but if you reduce your tonnage band, let's say you don't want to export more because you have decided not to sell more in Europe, and you downgrade your registration, but you don't get a refund. So, okay, so once it is paid, you don't get any refund, but you can downgrade your registrations to reduce your risk. And that's why risk management skill is very important. Why you should do it. Okay. Then consultant fee is fixed. Sometimes it is also like in most of the cases they also have the annual fee. So decide this based on what services you are getting in each service that they do. But they need to give you full registration, complete registration, and they also need to maintain that registration. So the service should not only include registration but maintenance, so that you don't pay any risks and that you don't have any issues with your business in Europe. And it's something they are giving you a market access. So please understand these carefully. And the last fee, which is a decision making fee, I always call it as a decision making fee, and it's a dynamic. So it's not fixed, it's fixed, but it's dynamic. It may vary. And so this depends upon number of registrants. Whether, as you see in the case of formaldehyde, there were 200 registrations. And in some specialty chemicals, it will be 3 registrations. So the more the registrations, the more companies are sharing the cost. The cost is coming lower and lower. Okay, and there is a full or transported in intermediate, isolated intermediate registration, which is TII, that is also determining the cost. And then 12 years data rule, whether the chemical that you are registering is registered originally in 2010, we saw that at ECA Chem, or 2013. Both 2013 letter of access data rule is open from June 2025. So that is also that this year I would request that any that you have get cost for this from any consultant, you can check again. So 12-year rules is important. It will reduce the cost significantly. Okay, and then whether chemical safety report is full or not, you should also check additional cost from evaluation. So the more you do this, more with transparency, then it will help you in deciding correctly whether you should do now or you just do the inquiry and just say that you don't do anything later on. Inquiry is important to check your 12-year rule. Sometimes you don't get this information from the lead registrants who has done the main registration. So you need to do the inquiry for this, understanding this 2 or 3 bullets below. Without this, no consultant can give you an actual cost. If they have access to the lead and they are able to provide this information, then they will give you the cost. Otherwise, if the lead company says that please submit me the inquiry number and then only we will give you this information, then it's not correct way of handling their registrations. So this is will give you a total cost, and you can also, the workshop we have will also help you understand the cases, how you do the total cost budgeting for your company. And you can do it on your own. You don't need consultant for certain substances, whether it's a petroleum or certain chemicals that is public. This letter of access is public, so you can always check as a non-new manufacturer. You can also write to them and you can check these costs, and you can decide in your company in the budgeting and planning as a regulatory or a export person. Okay, so then I have this criteria of SME, the medium, small, and micro. This is the head count, and this is the annual turnover in million euros. European SME is different from Indian MSME. They also take into consideration a partner and linked. If you have shareholding more than 25 and that director or a shareholder has other companies, then those companies will also be taken into consideration to determine size of the parent company. And then there is a penalty if you don't do this correctly. So there are maximum is the 20,000 euros penalty. So you can imagine that it has to be done correctly and without fail. Otherwise, you are looking at some penalties in future. Okay, so post registration I covered, but it is the slide I would like to keep so that SME re-verification. If you register more substances as an SME in future, you also need to consider re-verifications because all the documents are uploaded in authority, your balance sheets and head counts. Forecast annual, get some reports from consultant or something so they know, and you are aware of this ongoing activities for your registration. It's very important for risk management. Regulatory updates, either have some newsletter or you can subscribe to REACHLaw or subscribe to our newsletter via LinkedIn. You will also, this is all free newsletters, so get some updates through ECA or subscribe to ECA. You can always do the subscription to ECA. You can know what are the HVAC's entries. You can get this information from ECA. Every week they send news, so subscribe to ECA from ECA website. This update is coming from REACH Regulatory Article 22, your tonnage coverage and volume tracking, and also understand your safety data sheets that you need to keep it up to date. Your safety data sheet, ESDS, should be aligned with your registration dossiers and chemical safety report. So to conclude, I have, monitor your registrations as per each Article 22 and have some budget, because sometimes you have additional budget from evaluations and it could be very expensive. So please do this carefully and update your registrations if it is according to REACH Article 22 within 3 months or 9 months. Your consultant will help you with that. CLP regulation was updated and there is a deadline. So I would request you to review, all of you, to SDS and ESDS if these are hazardous chemicals or mixtures that you do and send. Then please review and update your SDS using updated CSR from your consultant. Please do this in 2025. Then inspections in 2025 are for only representative. So if you are using a subsidiary as OR, please do some kind of mock audits, or if your consultant is helping you with that, please do this in 2025 also, so that you know what is the gaps you have. And you will definitely get email from most of the Indian companies are using Dutch as only representative, Dutch having offices there, so they are getting news this year. Poison center notification due to CLP, and they also have inspections aligned in this year. So safety data sheet is an important document for poison center notification, and it's only for hazardous mixtures. Please also consider this update or check if in 2025. Reduce letter of excess fee, invite another proposal from consultants that to check whether the cost has come down, and you can then enter Europe. MEI claim is an important provision by government, so please avail this if you are eligible. And monitor REACH revision through experts. So this is what I would like to cover. I am exceeding 15 minutes, but REACH is I think continuously evolving. It is very interesting to see how things are getting updated. So I would say evaluation and this evaluation of REACH is very important, and understanding the guidances and updates. But you don't have to go in too much detail. Your consultant is there to help you out. But basic, I think you should consider and follow, and so that you know some terms are familiar and you can always communicate with your customer. You demonstrate compliance through your website, so that they consider you over others, or maybe Chinese. Okay, so please demonstrate full compliance and see that you are confidently handling these communications with your customers. Okay, so with this, I will take some Q&A. We can. I will see the chat box that if there are any questions, but I think we answered some questions. So in the chat box for all the participants. Okay, so any questions anybody has? I don't see any in chat box. So if from the panelist, the team who is available, do you see, is there any questions that I have to take up? So if you can
We
confirm it, I
already
don't.
answered. We already answered the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with this, I will like to end this webinar. Here are the contact details. So if you need more information and you would like to contact us, please, or if you want to join this workshop in August, please contact us and we will provide more information. And once again, thank you for hearing us out and patiently. And I also thank Chemexcil for organizing this session. So over to you, Chemexcil, if you have any closing
Thank you, sir.
remarks.
Thank you so much, sir. No, thank you, sir. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to be here and hope you found the session valuable and insightful. Once again, thank you for being with us, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are ending this session. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.